Welcome to this week's Skill Sprint. My name is Craig Chapman. I'm a software consultant specializing in the RAD Studio toolset. In this week's sprint, we'll take a look at the new GetIt Package Manager feature in RAD Studio XE8. Here you have a link to the blog post for this sprint, where you'll find additional links to documentation on the feature. There are no downloadables for this session. You also have my Twitter handle if you wish to follow me online. The GetIt Package Manager feature is available in RAD Studio, Delphi, and C++ Builder as of the XE8 version, and is available in the latest release of App Method. GetIt will contain libraries for use with both VCL and multi-device applications for Windows, OS X, Android, and iOS. We're going to take a look at the GetIt Package Manager, from which you can browse the available component libraries, discover a little information about them, and install them with a simple two-click process. Component libraries are as easily uninstalled should you wish to do that, and we'll then take a look at the navigation filters of the Package Manager. We'll spend a moment going over the component libraries which are already available in the Embarcadero GetIt repository. After looking through the GetIt Package Manager, we'll take a closer look at the TurboPack component libraries which are already available from the repository. TurboPack is a mature collection of open source components which have been popular among the RAD Studio, Delphi, and C++ Builder community. The TurboPack components have been updated to function with XE7 and XE8 in an effort sponsored by Embarcadero. The update takes advantage of newer language and RTL features. Most of the TurboPack components, though not all of them, come from the open source TurboPower projects, hence the name TurboPack. So let's get started and take a look at the GetIt Package Manager.
Okay, so the GetIt Package Manager is available from the Tools menu in the RAD Studio IDE. When I open up the Package Manager, you can see that there are a number of component packages already listed. At the bottom of the page, we have a pagination button which allows us to switch and find additional components listed. In the top right hand corner of each of the component package icons, you can see an icon indicating whether it is a Delphi or C++ Builder compatible. And if I hover over a component package, I get a description of what is contained and a notice of the license which is applicable, in this case the Mozilla public license. So let's take a look at what some of these component packages are. We have the Abreva, which is part of the TurboPack. Abreva is a compression toolkit. We have Async or Async Pro, which is another TurboPack component. This is a communications toolkit. It's particularly useful for RS-232 or comms communication. We have the Boost libraries for C++, a very popular set of libraries as a utility add-on for C++. Essentials contain some UI components, including calendars, calculators, 3D labels, and so on. ICS, or Internet Component Suite, contains a number of components for working with popular Internet protocols. Lockbox is a cryptography library. We have that available in two versions, 2.0 and 3.5. OnGuard, which allows you to create time-limited trials of your application. Again, that's available in two versions. The Orpheus pack of UI components, which contains many popular UI components such as calendars, calculators, docs, and so on. We have the Power PDF component pack, which allows you to create and edit PDF documents from within your application. The Sign Edit component set, which has a syntax highlighting edit control, not derived from the Windows controls. It's entirely owner drawn and highlights many syntax. SysTools, a utilities library for Delphi and C++ Builder. Some things in there to do with high precision math, financial routines, logging, and so on. And Virtual Tree, which is a versatile UI tree to include into your VCL applications. I'm going to go ahead and install the Orpheus Turbo Pack. When I click on the Install button, I get a dialog asking me to accept the license condition. In this case, Mozilla Public License version 1.1. I agree, and the IDE is now installing that component package for me. Okay, so click on Close now that we're complete. I'm also going to go ahead and include the Sign Edit component suite. This time it's the Apache software license. I agree. And now I have the Sign Edit control installed into my IDE. Before we go and take a look at the components that have been installed, I just want to point out a couple more features of the package manager. So here we have a menu where we can select all components. These are the components hosted on the Embarcadero hosted repository, or installed, which are the components that are installed into your IDE, as you can see here, and components can be uninstalled just as easily. If I switch back to all, you can see that I can choose to list these by vendor or by name, and I have a search box if I want to search the components that are available. So let's see what the component installations have done. In the IDE, I have a new VCL application, and if I take a scroll down here, you can see that I now have new categories of components from Orpheus and components from SignEdit. Let's take a look at some of the Orpheus components. These begin, I believe, with OV. Here are the general components, so let's take a look at what we have here. I have a calculator control, which if I double click and drop that onto my form, I now have a fully functional calculator in my application. We also have a clock control, which I should have placed on the form, not on the calculator. We have slider edit, and we have a whole host of other components which I won't go into right now. If I take a look at the clock component, set its property active to true, and now I go ahead and run my application. You can see that I have a fully functioning clock, a fully functioning calculator, and this kind of interesting slide edit control. I don't actually like the color of the hands on this, so I'm just going to change those and take another look. So if I change the minute hand, let's make it nice and lime green and then the hour hand I'll have in navy blue, just to make the clock a little more colourful. Okay, so what I hope you can see here is that with just a few clicks to install these component packs, I've added the functionality of a calculator, a clock, some new edit controls, and those are just three of the multitude of controls available from the Orpheus pack, not to mention all of their non-visual controls, timers, and so on. All of that functionality added to my application in minutes. Let's take a quick look now at the sign edit components, because again I think these offer some fantastic functionality. So down here we have the sign edit control. I'm going to double click and put one of those onto my form. I'm also going to take a sign HTML, which is the control for syntax highlighting HTML. And now I'm going to wire these two controls together. So if I find the highlighter property on the sign edit, select the sign HTML sign 1, I now have a functioning HTML editor with syntax highlighting. So I'll go ahead and put some HTML in here. And you can see that it's highlighting my tags. Okay, I'm now going to drop a Pascal syntax highlighter onto my form. Again, wire that up to the highlighter control. And now I have Pascal syntax highlighting. So again, within the few clicks that it took to install the sign edit component pack, I've added an awful lot of work, an awful lot of code into my application. It's all open source, so it didn't cost me anything to do, and I've now got that functionality. I can make use of that functionality in my application.
In your next skill sprint, we'll be looking at unit testing with the new DUnitX unit testing library. This takes place on Tuesday, the 12th of May, at the times listed. I'd like to take a moment to make you aware of some of the special offers which we're currently running. You can save 10% on your new RAD Studio, Delphi, or C++ Builder XE8 purchase with an introductory offer for new purchases ending May 31st. Your purchase includes a bonus pack containing your copy of the new Object Pascal Handbook by Marco Cantu. This brand new 300-page ebook is a complete guide to the current modern Object Pascal programming language by best-selling Delphi Books author and Delphi Senior Product Manager Marco Cantu. This language manual for new and existing Object Pascal developers covers core language features, object-oriented programming with Object Pascal, and the latest language features such as generics, anonymous methods, and reflection in today's Delphi compilers. Also included in the bonus pack are new VCL and FireMonkey Premium styles, which make it easier to give your application a visual overhaul with little to no effort. You can customize your VCL applications with 7 premium styles, or customize your multi-device applications with 9 premium FireMonkey styles. Be sure to check out the offers at embarcadero.com/radoffer. Once again, my name is Craig Chapman. Thank you for watching this skill sprint, and I'd like to hand over now to you for your questions.
All right, thank you, Craig. And I am joined in the studio today by Craig and David I. So we definitely have some questions to get through this morning. Are you guys, are you there, David and Craig?
Can you hear me?
I sure can. Thank you for joining us.
Excellent. Good morning.
Okay, and I know David I will be joining us shortly. Okay, so we have some questions to cover. First of all, I don't know, Craig, if you have any insight on this, but do you know if we have plans to include the Jedi projects and to install it?
I don't know if we have plans to include them yet. I've not been told much about which additional component packs are going to be added, just that many more will be. With Jedi being, I think it's a Mozilla license, if I remember rightly. I would expect that it would be easy to do, so there's no reason why we won't do it.
And if you have this, David, I don't know if my mic is working now or not.
Yes, it is. Thank you, David. We can hear you just fine.
If you have any things that you'd like to see in GetIt, send Marco Cantu an email. But or you can put them in here and we'll forward them to Marco. But we have plans to do all sorts of things in the future with GetIt. But this is the start here right now in XE 8.
Okay, great. And I apologize for my voice. I'm trying to get over a cold at the moment. Next question, again from Alf, is he's wondering if we're going to be able to design our own GetIt packages.
Again, I'll come back to my statement about we have all sorts of plans for GetIt in the future.
Okay, thank you. Again, from Alf, we have another question here. Are default BPL and CDP directories used, or are they using what was originally used?
Let me see if I understand. Are we using BPL packages? I believe that this is actually compiling from source, and it will be creating BPL packages and installing those.
Yeah, you can also, once you download the package, you can go under project options and set whatever directories you want.
Okay, next question. Is it possible to indicate where DCU files can be installed, like under the same directory as the BPL and DCP files?
Again, go into project options and set the directories you want.
All right, now we have a question from Sean here. What protocol and port does GetIt use to communicate with the server? His company is blocking the firewall and needs to know what port to open.
That is a good question. I don't know, but I can find out for you.
Yeah, I don't know either. Let me, I'll do some searching while we're answering other questions.
Okay, I went ahead and posted my email address to you there, Sean. If we don't have an answer for you by the end of today's skill sprint, then please do follow up with an email to me, and we can definitely get that information to you. Okay, we have a question from Scott here. He's curious about having some problems installing a package. He's getting a denied message, and he's curious if being logged in as a local administrator, if that could be causing the issue, or what could possibly cause a GetIt package to be denied.
Just user access control and where you have rights when the package is downloaded. I think, Craig, where did those end up on your system? Did they end up in the documents folder under Embarcadero Studio?
That, I'm on my home system right now, so I'm not able to go and take a look, but again, I can go and look and see where they ended up when I boot up the Office system.
If we're still online, I'll just start up, let me start up Red Studio, and I'll just grab something real quick and see where it goes on my home.
To add on the port system, I haven't confirmed it yet, but I believe it's downloading across ports 80 and 443. It's bringing things through HTTP and HTTPS.
Okay, thanks for that. Another question from Alf, wondering about when 64 and or FireMonkey version of the packages. And I'm going to go ahead and take a stab at this one. I think that's up to the developer. Is that not correct? Or?
Yes, so it's any package that you can build, or rather any package that is in the repository can be brought down, whether it's for FireMonkey or VCL, but it's up to the developer of that package to choose the available targets. Now, as it's source code, you may be able to add your own targets to those packages after installing them, but that would depend on the code being compatible with that framework.
Okay, we have a question here from Kenneth. If you use these components to create applications, what is the legal ramification? Well, I think I can say that it depends on the developer again, right?
Actually, the license dialog which opens up, you would have to read and understand the license agreement that you're agreeing to when you install. Now, most of the packages in the repositories currently are open source licenses, and they are non-GPL, so they're non-copyleft licenses at present. But that's not to say that they always will be. We may add GPL packages, and we may very well add commercial packages too.
Yeah. And again, it pops up, as Craig says, when you, and you probably saw that in the demo, when you select an item from GetIt, a license, a dependencies license will pop up. Just what am I grabbing? Async Pro for VCL, and it's Mozilla Public License version 1.1, and it has the definition, text, and so on. And you can choose to agree or decline, are the two buttons. Okay, so let's see where. Go ahead, you guys. Okay. I'm downloading Async Pro, so we'll see where it goes.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so next we have a question from Lars. He's wondering if Marco's book is complete. I think it is, but I'm not 100% sure. Do you guys know?
Ask Marco. He's continuously updating it.
Yeah. You know what, Lars? I'm going to give you my email address here, and if you'd like to send me an email, I can contact Marco for you and find out.
I also put Marco's email address in one of the other questions. I think it was Alf's question about what about the future. Okay, so let's...
Yeah, so feel free to email Marco directly as well. Okay, let's see here. Okay, we have got another question. What is the documentation for these components? Are these integrated in the help file?
No.
Each of the component packages, the documentation, it really, again, it depends on the author of the components. Sometimes it's going to be included with the package. The sign edit, for example, I don't know if there's documentation in the package, but there's the developer's website. So they have a documentation system up on the, I believe it's up on either a GitHub or a SourceForge download.
Okay, quick question from Chris. Let's see. Is the available? Oh, I'm sorry. Is this available for FireMonkey apps too, or just VCL?
Anything you want, anything that appears there. So some of the non-visual controls can be used in FireMonkey apps. TurboAsync Pro is non-visual components, so it can be used in FireMonkey apps, but TurboAsync Pro uses Windows API, so you can only use TurboAsync Pro currently in Windows versions. Okay, so the GetIt packages, hold on. Here's the directory. So I'm putting the directory path on my computer here. They go into users, your username, documents, Embarcadero, Studio 16.0, catalog repository, and then you'll see the rest of that path. So there's a catalog repository folder that's created under your users' documents. And the other question about pathing and so on, let's go to project options on Async Pro. There's no, the unit output directory is /platform config with the $, the macros, but again, you can put the DCP output directory is not set, so it's set to wherever the global setting is for your IDE. But again, you can always, even though it builds it, you could uninstall, and it builds the package when it downloads. You could uninstall it. You still have the source code. Go back into the package, file, project options, and set whatever you want. But the default unit output is there. The DCP output directory and package output directory are not set, so they go to the default for your ID that you set in tools options. Okay, hope that's clear.
Thank you.
Now I ruined my machine. Cool.
So Craig, Vishwas is wondering about your Twitter ID. Can you verify that that's your correct Twitter ID?
Yes, that certainly looks correct. I'll go and double check it, but Chapman 53280.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Gordon has a comment here. He'd like to see the code site and other commercial packages and be prompted for the registration code.
So again, right now we've started with some open source projects, the Android Sdk, and a few other things. But in the future, as we've said, there will be all sorts of things. Our goal is to have all sorts of things appear, including, as Brian says, commercial projects. And commercial products, there would be a license manager piece that would be hooked into the process flow. But again, stay tuned for more. It's great to have you all loving the GetIt functionality that Craig has shown and wanting more. So our plans are to do more on all kind of aspects. Some people have asked things like, can we have our own repository inside of our own firewall for our own proprietary code and so on? So there's things that we're trying to look at for the future as well. It's just the start, but the enthusiasm is great. We love it.
I just threw 2 more Twitter handles up. It's actually the latter that I posted into the public chat there. I've had several, and it looks like Chapman's not working now, so Craig Chapman 53280, that should work for you.
Yeah, that's in the chat window, everyone. So here, let me see if I can grab that.
Yeah, and David, oh, excuse me. David, I sent you a private message as well.
Huh?
And Chris has a comment on XE8. He is very impressed, and great work, guys. Well, thank you very much, Chris. I appreciate your feedback. And Alf has another comment here. In the future, it would be nice if the default CPU directory also could be defined for all package compilations. And in case a strict rule to use a common signing, as in used in the GetIt product, all PAS files start with a JCL.
Well, we'll pass that along as a suggestion, for at least for the default directory option. Again, you can set the default in tools options.
And Mark is commenting that he really is enjoying the new help system with XE8, and thank you, Mark, for that. Glad you're enjoying that. David, he watched a video about installing the Android Sdk, and in that video, I'm not quite sure what video he's mentioning, but in that video it showed the Android Sdk is available via the GetIt tool, but it is not available in my XE8 nor Craig's. Is it missing?
When you do the original install, and that's what my video that's on the Start Here page, or which is configuring your IDE for Android. In configuring your IDE for Android, when you do the install, there's a choice. You can hit the checkbox to install the Android SDK as part of the install or not, because you may already have an Android SDK, or maybe you want to install it later. If you check to install the Android SDK, it will get installed. And then in my video, I showed you a couple options. One is there's a few tools that are in the Android, a later version of the Android SDK. And all you need to do is say File, New Project, Multi-Device, choose the target platform, Android, and do a build, and the IDE will use GetIt under the covers to get the additional Android tools it needs, zip-align and so on. Now, if you didn't check the checkbox during the original install for Android SDK, then you can go into the IDE and go to Tools GetIt, and if in your Tools GetIt there should be one of the choices being the Android SDK. If you click that, it will download the complete Android SDK, including the tools that you need. It will install them, and you'll be ready to do Android development. The third option is you can go to the Android Sdk Manager. There's a shortcut in the Rad Studio Android Tools group in your Start menu, and you can bring up the SDK Manager and then check to install whatever additional packages you need. Maybe you need, for example, the Android Wear SDK or something like that. Also, maybe some additional tools from Android 5 or Android L or Lollipop and so on. So there's 3 different ways, and I show the one way in the original video to configure your environment, which is still at the IDE, go and get the tools it needs. But you can do it yourself, or you can use GetIt.
Great. So I'll be sure to add those to the blog notes if you need to reference that information later.
And if there's something else that you're not seeing, like if you go to GetIt, Tools GetIt, and you don't see the Android SDK there, I'm not sure why. If that's what the question was. Go ahead, Craig. Sorry, go ahead.
Sure, I can clarify on that. So the Android SDK doesn't appear in the package manager. However, if you try to deploy to an Android device and you haven't already installed the SDK during the initial install, then it will use the GetIt behind the scenes to go download it, but it won't appear in the package manager.
Okay, so we have a question from Larry regarding whether or not third-party components, can all third-party components get installed with GetIt? And I think what he's asking is if, there are other ways to get third-party components, but I don't think there's like a one-to-one ratio of the package manager at this time. Is that?
So there are some components that ship with Xe8 that are part of the install. So T-Chart, CodeSite, Fast Report, and so on. Those are just in the install. We don't pop up dialog boxes during the install anymore for those. They do silent installs, and you'll just see them in your component list, and you'll see CodeSite installed and available and tool transfer and so on. If what you're asking is, and then as Craig showed, we've put some packages for certain components, for example, the Turbo Power software, a bunch of those component packs, we've put those in the catalog for GetIt, and you can see them, and you can choose them if you want them or need them for projects you have. Our plan in the future is to add many more types of tools, components, and libraries into the GetIt catalog. But for now, what's there and what Craig showed when he was scrolling around is what is included in the catalog currently. It's all on the server side, so as we add more, when you start up the IDE and you do Tools GetIt, you may see new choices. And you can also uninstall. It'll show you what you have installed from GetIt, and then a choice in the GetIt Manager is to do an uninstall, and that will do an uninstall for you if you installed something you didn't want.
All right, we have a question from Davis here regarding, he's currently a Delphi user, and he's wondering how he can get the ebook by Marco.
Once you have Xe8 installed and activated, meaning you've registered the key and started the IDE, logged in with your EDN account, then you go to your registered user download area. That's on Code Central, so you'll find it. Just put I think myreg, myreg.embarcadero.com, or actually probably cc.embarcadero.com. Log in with your user ID and password, and there's a link on the left-hand side for My Registered User Downloads or Registered User Downloads, and that's where you'll find all of the premium packs, the ebook, and so on.
Great. Yeah, and I'll be sure to add all of this. Yeah, go ahead.
cc.embarcadero.com/myreg. MYREG lowercase, but we'll put the link in the blog.
Right, yeah, we'll definitely add that to the blog notes once the replay is live, probably later this week. possibly next week.
Just as an additional to that, if you are logged into your EDN account, there's a download button which actually has a menu beneath it, and that has a link to the registered downloads for you.
Yeah, that's the older Community 2.0. We don't. I need to add get a menu item added to the new community for downloads. I'll work on that.
Okay, great. All right, let's see. We have a question from Jan. Have XC7, but the tools menu does not show GetIt.
GetIt is an XE8 feature.
Indeed.
So upgrade to XE8.
That'd be a great time to try the trial.
10% discount. You can try the trial, and then you can play with GetIt there.
Right.
Upgrade, there's 10% discount this quarter for the new introduction, so time to upgrade to XE8.
Okay, so Steve Jordy is writing some FMX components that he needs for his apps, and he's wondering if he can provide those components on GetIt, and is curious about uploading their own components onto GetIt. I think that's something that we're...
The plan is the general plan is to have more ways and more components and more tools and more ways for people to submit things. So the best way would be to contact Marco Cantu, just marco.cantu@embarcadero.com. He's the product manager, and he's looking at all sorts of functionality as it relates to packages that would be put in the catalog and so on. But it's a general purpose system in the sense that the ID knows where to go to read the catalog out on a server, not on your server, but on our, cloud infrastructure, and to display the choices that you have in GetIt. And we've started, since this is a new feature, we started with a select set of things that you can get and install.
All right, quick question from George. I remember you used to have J++ in this package. Do you still support this product? No, I don't think so.
I don't know anything. I've been here almost 30 years, and I don't know what J++ was, or might have been.
Right.
Is there a typo, maybe?
Well, yeah, I thought maybe it was C++, but J's on the other side of the keyboard, so I'm not quite sure.
So if you can specify further.
Yeah, we'll look for your comment, George, if you want to clarify. Recharge available for XE7 to XE8?
Contact customer service, sales, or our partner wherever you are in the world. And if you have a recharge account already, you can recharge. If you don't have a recharge account, go to the update subscription page. It's linked off the product pages. You can put that in the blog post. Just search Embarcadero update subscription. That is our updated program for maintenance, recharge, all that stuff. It's called update subscription. Upgrade to XE8, add update subscription, and you'll get updates and releases coming in a 12-month period. So check out update subscription. It'll get you premium content, a whole bunch of stuff. Just add update subscription. Recharge, we've sunsetted, but if you have recharge, you can still recharge by contacting us. But for new people, new to maintenance and subscriptions and whatever, check out update subscription.
Great. Let's see. So another follow-up from Jan. Any plans to include the Turbo Power Office partner?
For the Turbo Pack components and pieces, you should really check out Roman. Roman did a blog post in April about the list he currently has from the Turbo Power pieces. We'll get to the link, but if you just search Turbo Pack or Turbo Power and Roman, ROMAN, and put XE8 in your Google search, you'll find his April 7th or April 9th blog post where he talks about how he did the update of the components in combination with us, how he moved it from SourceForge to GitHub, and the components he added from the Turbo Power pieces. And so you can post a comment there and contact him to say, hey, Roman, do you plan to do additional pieces of packages that he hasn't updated for XE8? So search Roman, Turbo Power, Turbo Pack, XZ8, and you'll probably find his blog post from April 2015.
So
and we'll get that link. I'll get that link to Brian, and you can put it in the blog.
Thank you. Quick follow-up from George. He is verifying that he intended to say Java++. I don't know.
Again, Java++, I don't know what that is. We still have a product called JBuilder 2008 Release 2 or R2. Now, unless you're talking about, there is a Java to pass command line utility that takes Java interfaces on Android and converts them, creates Object Pascal interfaces. So Java, if you're thinking Java, the number 2 op.exe, we still have that utility. But again, Java++, I don't know what that is, and it's never been a promo item or a product that we shipped or a technology we shipped, and unless I'm really forgetting something, and I'm old, so maybe I am, but boy, I don't remember anything like that.
Okay, well, that reaches the end of our questions.
But Craig, why don't you add some comments? I'm going to shut up. I've been saying too much. And this is your skill sprint, so I'm sorry for hogging the Q&A.
No, you've covered pretty much everything, so I don't really have much to add. I do have a question of my own, because rather ashamedly I missed the previous skill sprint on the migrations wizard. Do we know if there are plans to integrate the migration wizard with the GetIt repository so that we can bring components up to the latest version?
So right now the migration settings will migrate. Well, you have the choice to migrate, and you look at the replay for what Marco did, migrate things that appear in the registry. So color settings, display settings, font settings, all those kinds of things. There's also other settings that get stored in the registry for previous versions of Rad Studio, Delphi C++ Builder, known packages, things that third-party components store in the registry for settings they might need, and so on. And so you have the choice to choose all those kinds of things or to avoid them. One of the goals or dreams we have would be that our technology partners and other projects that developers care about would be in the catalog, and that we would have a way to say, oh, you've got a license for DevExpress, you've got a subscription from DevExpress that you pay each year, whatever it is, $1,500, $2,000, that we would see a known package from a previous project in a previous version, and that we would know through some mechanism that you have a valid license, and that we could redirect to the DevExpress place and grab stuff for you. But that's just getting the pieces and parts. If there's any kind of changes that you have to make, there may be some assembly required. So those kind of use case scenarios are in our backlog. Forget it. But there's no announcements here and such. But if you look at what GetIt can do today, and if you think about, your own GetIt repository that's either an extension to an existing repository, stories like that. For example, you might think, gee, I work inside of a bank, and we've got some components and libraries inside of the bank that we're never going to put out in some private or public cloud outside our firewall. Wouldn't it be cool if you could have a combination of the catalog, which is the catalog in the world of GetIt, and the internal enterprise catalog all showing up when the users inside of an enterprise went to GetIt and saw things that they could do, and that they could pull down and filter by, the things I need from inside the enterprise or the bank, and then go and grab the latest version of those things. So it's a general purpose system, and it's all in the future how we use it and how we allow developers to use it, and our partners. I probably didn't answer your question, but you could see how it could happen. Read known packages from the registry, and then all of a sudden see a list and GetIt. You could say filter by known packages. Wouldn't that be cool? And then you just see the known packages, new releases or updated versions, and you go and grab them. But there's more involved in license and keys and who knows what else, payments and all sorts of things.
from Wade, and that is regarding the Async Pro Turbo Pack. Is it compatible with OS X, Android, and iOS?
From what I've read online, no, it isn't. I believe it's Windows only. It has certain wrappers around TAPI and the Windows serial ports and such that I don't believe would be compatible with other platforms.
Is GetIt for VCL only? No, it is not. It also works for FireMonkey. It's up to the developer, of course, to determine whether they want to support VCL or FireMonkey or both. Gary just asked a follow-up question. He would like to know if only open source products are on it.
Right now it's open source and a few other tools, but in the future, again, our goal is that GetIt have a catalog of all sorts of components, tools, libraries, and other things, maybe even a marketplace. But stay tuned. This is just our first release of GetIt, so we populated a few things in the catalog, and there's more to come in the future.